Hello teacups, what's brewing? Welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping to keep this very short and it just be a quick sip because I'm not actually reacting today, but there were a couple of questions that came up that I just wanted to talk about. So one of them was a conversation I got tagged in on Twitter about getting the potential marriage certificate that they might be getting in Thailand recognized in Syria and how it would be really difficult. And another was about the ownership of her newest, definitely not a reaction channel. So I should preempt what I'm about to say with the fact that she might not be getting married in Thailand. I speculated because I think it makes sense to do so, because if at any point they want to legitimize the lie they've been living so far, that would be their best protection. Even if even if Kuwait, I'm going to mix up names, are not issuing spousal visas at the moment, which I either didn't know or didn't remember. I don't know if we discussed that before. It's been a little while since I looked into it, but they don't appear to currently be sponsoring the class of people Chantal is in, which don't comment on that down below. Thank you. I know how that sounded. But currently it seems to be limited to children and medical personnel. But there seem to be impediments to them having a recognized marriage in Kuwait. And if for whatever reason they are both in it for the long haul, getting an international marriage seems like the next step and the easiest path to eventually getting that recognized in Kuwait. I don't know why they've been held up in Thailand as long as they have. It does seem to be a holding pattern. They don't seem to have planned for it because she didn't have enough medication. They don't seem to have enough clothes. They have been back and forth to different hotels, but don't seem to be doing anything. I don't know if they're going to stay in this one for as long as the rest of the trip, but we don't know when it's going to end, but they don't seem to have planned to be away this long. So the question then becomes, well, what could be holding them up in an unplanned way? And the most logical answer to that is some kind of immigration paperwork, some kind of red tape that's causing an issue or a delay. Which is where the idea of, hey, it seems useful to them to actually be married, they could be doing that in Thailand, came from. Interestingly, she also apparently took down the our Kuwaiti courthouse wedding video. I haven't checked for that on channel. I don't know if it's back, but I got not tagged. Someone commented on it saying that it was gone. Now, somebody on Twitter, MJK23, thank you for your comment that you tagged me in. It doesn't matter where they marry. Salah has to get the marriage certificate authenticated in Syria. And then there was a quote. I'm not sure where the quote is from. The marriage or childbirth certificate is authenticated by the sponsor's embassy in their home country. Good luck with that. And then Lean Cuisine Enthusiast said another big issue here is if she doesn't follow Syrian marriage laws, it's considered invalid in Syria. This is an issue because his family could raise a stink and say they aren't legally married and they could run into issues. We'll get into the Syrian stuff, but I don't know why his family would do that. Remember, there is enough reason for them to hate Chantal, but even if they hate Chantal, anything they do would have consequence for Salah, the son they actually love. So I don't think the family would risk him in any way. And then the same poster in the second post said, I had to follow all of the marriage laws when I got married in the US. Yeah, that made sense. And it means all the medical stuff and all of that. So I do not profess to be an expert in the Syrian marriage laws. And I attempted to look it up because it was an interesting point. They do have to have the marriage recognized in their home countries. I guess for the sake of the Muslim side of things, Salah's would be more important because he's the man in the relationship. So I tried to look into the steps of getting a marriage certificate attested for a Syrian, and it did seem to be super complicated. But a lot of the modern documents are based with the current situation in Syria on displaced people, like refugees in Lebanon particularly, getting their marriage recognized when they've essentially, it's not safe for them to return to Syria, which is a bit of a different conversation. Now, that conversation is still important, and what I'm about to say that I found from a document from The Hague was The document I'm about to reference was from 2019. So in terms of what's currently changing, I know that reports in general seem to say that it's getting much, much harder to get documents authenticated, to follow the procedures, bribes are involved and the expense is getting really high, and there's dangers to the mails that turn up to try and get it authenticated because they have to be there and things of that nature. Like, there's a lot of difficulties involved. But as I say, those circumstances aren't exactly the same. In terms of just a straight civil marriage done from abroad, this is the information I could find. And as I say, it's from 2019. So if there is a more modern version of either the report or any other information, I just may not have it. But this came from a report from The Hague, and it was called, I'll try and see if I can link this, but when I clicked onto it, it downloaded as a PDF, so I'm not sure if I've got the web address for it, but I'll see if I can find it again. Country of Origin Information Report, Syria. And what it had to say about marriage, registration of marriage contracted abroad. Now, what it has to say about civil marriages abroad, if a Syrian has entered into a civil marriage abroad, this marriage can be entered in the Syrian civil registry unless it would be regarded by the Syrian authorities as contrary to public order, for example, a same-sex marriage. And then it tells you there's more information in 3.6, which we will go to. And then there's a paragraph that I'll try and put up here. A marriage entered into by Syrians abroad can be included in the Syrian civil registry, provided that it is registered in accordance with the legislation of the country concerned and does not violate Syrian law. So the country concerned would be Thailand. The marriage must be substantiated at the Syrian embassy by means of official marriage documentation issued by the authorities of the country in question. So Thailand doesn't have one, but I guess that means that they could go to the one in Kuwait because there does appear to be one there. But I'm not sure as to that. And to be honest with all of this, I think it would be a case of, okay, go get an agent and have them figure it out. I would consider it money well spent. The embassy then informs the headquarters at the Civil Affairs Directorate in Damascus, after which the marriage is recorded in the Syrian Civil Registry. Oh, that was a bit of a mouthful. If the country where the marriage takes place does not have Syrian diplomatic representation, the couple can send the marriage documentation directly to the headquarters of the Civil Affairs Directorate in the Syrian capital, which is where you would just get an agent involved and be like, hey dudes, here's my cash, here's my documentation, please do it. Now, they do mention in 3.7, the next section, of difficulties with contracting and registering marriages in Syria, saying due to the civil war, the registers of various Sharia courts and civil registry offices were not always connected, and sometimes things can be registered in one place and not the other, and things of that nature. If I can get this linked, I will try and put it down below for you, and then you can go look at it if you want. So it does seem, if you're just looking for a civil marriage, it does seem that they can get it registered without him being there, provided they're willing to shill a little bit of money to an agent who can just make sure they do it right. I'm not saying that's definitely what they're doing. I'm saying that the possibility exists, at least according to this documentation. Whether it would actually realistically be possible to do with the current situation in Syria, I am not sure. There's no way to know until they try it, but maybe they're trying it. I don't know. What their end game is in terms of actually getting married, if Salah would really want that long term, what both of them want from this union, and what they'd be able to do with it, and how soon they would be able to have that recognised for the terms of a spousal visa in Kuwait, are all unknown factors, because we don't know how long that process would take. But the possibility, on paper at least, appears to exist. And if they're already there, why not have the marriage certificate? If nothing else, like, let's say someone did call and let's say someone did check and they go, well, why are you living together? Why aren't you married? Why is she on a tourist visa? Blah, 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 blah. I think this would be the least of their worries at that point, but they could at least produce something and say, no, we are married. It just hasn't been, we couldn't. It would give them an argument at the very least. I'm not saying the argument would be successful, but if you're looking for any possible way to link each other, this would be a way. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I'm at 12 minutes, Jesus. Sorry, quick sip. I'll still label it a quick sip, even though I'm just verbose. The other thing people were talking about was the new channel Foodie had. She put up for about 18 hours that she was going to open up a reaction channel, got a few people subscribing, and then pulled the bait and switch and was like, I filmed one. I'm reading into her statement that it was terrible. And she's decided to save herself the embarrassment by putting it up. These are the moments where you can kind of tell she's off her meds, because the impulsivity is definitely worse when she's not properly medicated. Not that she necessarily was properly medicated, because she kind of decided herself she was going to buy them over the counter. But when she's not on anything, you start to see these things crop up more. But in terms of the new channel, people were saying, well, it says that they're located in Kuwait. And there was some speculation, okay, did Foodie register it in Kuwait to try and get around the tax laws in Canada? What's going on there? Because a conversation we had had before is that people had said, well, could Foodie be giving the money to Salah and therefore her not have to pay taxes on it? And I had said, well, no, because your AdSense account is registered in the country that your bank account is, then it would still have to go through Canada. She couldn't assign her. You can choose like someone to get paid in your stead, a new payee, but they also have to have a bank account in the country you're registered in, your AdSense is registered in. So for Foodie, that would be Canada. Salah doesn't have a Canadian account that we're aware of. And so she couldn't just have the money funneled directly to him as a tax dodge, which is why I imagine they do it that way. Now, there was a bit of speculation that, okay, maybe she registered in Kuwait so she could build a new following there, because I think she's scared of getting her channel demonetized, and then she could legitimately have a source of money that would be tax-free because she is resident. So there's a few issues with this. One, she's still on a tourist visa by every timeline we know, so she would still owe Canada money then as money earned abroad. Not that she's going to file her taxes, but, you know, in theory at least, so long as she is still officially Canadian resident, any money she earns abroad is just considered earnings abroad to their taxes. Now, in terms of what the account says, her location being Kuwait, that is very easy to change. Because when you change your location on your YouTube account, you're placing a new country of residence, but it doesn't actually change your country of registration. So I could go in, I could change my location to Oman. I would still be registered with all my UK stuff. I would just now be located in Oman. It doesn't make a difference to the backside of my account. So two possibilities. One, that the account comes under the umbrella of Foodie, and she's just put the location as Kuwait, because had she opened it fresh in Thailand and were it actually connected to where she was, it would say Thailand. She may have repurposed an old account, one of her multiple accounts, or she may have just created it new, but she has chosen to set it as Kuwait. It doesn't mean it's registered in terms of the AdSense to Kuwait. Now, when you have multiple channels, it only makes one payment to your AdSense. So for example, my Milk Tea Chilled channel is monetized. It makes very little because I get very few views on there because it's a budgeting channel and it's not a big audience. So when I get a little bit on there, it puts it all into the same lump of what I get paid on this channel and sends it all as one payment. So if it's under Foodie's umbrella of channels, that's what's going to happen. It's all going to get lumped into her Canada stuff and get paid in Canada. It won't make a difference in terms of anything. If it's a channel that Salah has registered as someone in Kuwait who has a bank account, because remember, Foodie doesn't have a bank account in Kuwait. If she's a tourist, she can't get one. And we've never seen her use or reference a bank account ever in Kuwait. So if Salah has registered the account under his name, because remember, he's got his own account from years and years ago, I believe technically that could get monetized and could get paid to him. But I don't think Foodie would do that, because her intelligence is questionable in many ways, but she's always really stayed in control of who has the money because it's been her one great power. I don't necessarily think she would take the risk of putting the earnings from her channel in anyone else's hands. She can choose to give it to someone, but it's hers to choose. And it would also require that all the people that she's sure will follow her wherever she goes go over to that channel and they start to earn the same amount of money and views, which is likely not going to happen. She's just going to dilute her channel further by having multiple places. And we saw this when she was trying to do different platforms. A few would follow her, but literally a handful everywhere. And mostly people would just stop watching. Her views were really low. So in terms of her taxes and her liability, it's not going to make a difference to her. If we had got a channel from Salah and she was just in control of it, but it's all registered to him, in theory, the money could go there. I don't think she would do that. And I think if she were doing that, she would have had content out on that channel quicker. She wouldn't have changed her mind on being a reaction channel because it would have earned more. But like I said, I don't think that's it. I think it's just her being scared that her channel's going to get demonetized and wanting a backup. And that's why we're seeing the channel. But considering there were only, was it 1.2k subscribers? Like, she didn't have very many people following her over there. Now, we don't know what it is behind the scenes, but those are the two possibilities. So I just thought I'd put them out there so that people would know. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you with some kind of react next time. Bye, everyone.